Stop what you are doing right now, do not look away, do not scroll past this video, because what I am about to tell you in the next few minutes could literally change everything you think you know about the loose change sitting in your pocket, your car's cup holder, your kitchen junk drawer, or that old coffee can your grandfather left behind in the basement. What if I told you that somewhere out there, right now, in the hands of someone who has absolutely no idea what they are holding, there is a single penny, a 1-cent piece, a humble copper disc that most people would step over on the sidewalk without a second glance, and that this particular penny, this specific 1958 Dewey penny, has been documented selling for $14,000? $14,000 for a single cent. That is not a typo. That is not a misprint. That is not some internet rumor or coin-collecting fantasy. That is a documented, verified, hammer-down auction result that you can look up yourself, and I am going to show you exactly why this coin commands that kind of money, how to identify it with your own eyes, and why the mainstream dealers and the big auction houses would prefer that ordinary people like you and me never learn the secrets I am about to share. You have been chosen to receive this knowledge. 99% of the population will go to their graves never knowing what I am about to tell you, but you are not going to be one of them, because you stayed, you listened, and you are about to become one of the few, the informed, the ones who know how to turn ordinary copper into life-changing wealth. Now let me take you back. Let me transport you to the year 1958. Eisenhower is in the White House, Elvis Presley is dominating the radio, American Bandstand is revolutionizing teenage culture, and the Cold War is casting a long shadow across the nation. The economy is booming, suburbia is exploding, and the Denver Mint is running at full throttle, its presses roaring like mechanical beasts, its workers sweating under the fluorescent lights, their hands moving with practiced efficiency as blank copper planchets feed into the massive coining presses one after another. But here is where it gets fascinating, here is where the mystery begins, because in the final year of the wheat pennies production, in the shadow of the Lincoln Memorial Cent's imminent debut in 1959, something slipped through the Denver Mint that should never have existed. The records do not fully explain what happened, the official mint reports are silent on the matter, but the coins themselves tell a story that no bureaucratic paperwork can erase. A ghost in the machine, a mistake that got away, a single human error compounded by the chaos of transition and the pressure of massive production quotas. The 1958 Dewey penny that commands $14,000 is not just any 1958 D. It is a double die obverse, and I need you to understand exactly what that means, because this is the forensic detail that separates $14,000 from 14 cents. A double die occurs during the hubbing process, when the working die is impressed multiple times by the master hub, and if that die shifts even slightly between impressions, every single coin struck from that die will carry a doubled image. This is not machine doubling, this is not the kind of minor shelf doubling you see on worn coins. This is a true hub doubled die, and on the 1958 D, the doubling is most visible in the date itself, in the letters of liberty, and most dramatically in the motto "In God We Trust." You need to examine your 1958 Dewey penny under magnification, and I mean real magnification, not just squinting at it. Get yourself a jeweler's loupe with at least 10 power magnification, or better yet a digital microscope that connects to your phone so you can see every detail in stunning clarity. Look at the date first. On a normal 1958 D, the numbers are crisp and singular. On the double die, you will see a distinct secondary image, a shadow of the primary date, shifted slightly to the south and east. The doubling in Liberty will show as a clear separation in the vertical strokes of the L, the I, the B, the E, the R, the T, and the Y. But the absolute king, the holy grail of diagnostics on this coin, is the doubling in God We Trust. The letters will appear to have a ghost image behind them, a faint but unmistakable duplicate that speaks to the die's imperfection. But that is just the beginning, because there is more to examine, more to hunt for, more potential value hiding in every 1958 D you encounter. Check for repunched mint marks, what we call RPMs in the business, where the Denver Mint mark was struck multiple times at slightly different angles, leaving a visible doubling or tripling of the D itself. Look for die cracks, those hairline fractures in the die that transfer to the coin as raised lines, particularly running from the rim through the wheat stalks on the reverse. Look for BIE errors, where a die chip between the B and E of Liberty creates what appears to be a tiny letter I. Look for grease-filled dies, where accumulated grease in the die's recesses prevents the full design from striking up, leaving weak or missing details. And here is where your jaw will truly drop. Heritage Auctions, the largest numismatic auction house in America, has handled multiple examples of the 1958D doubled die Obverse, and the prices have been nothing short of staggering. A specimen graded MS64 red by PCGS, that's Professional Coin Grading Service, the gold standard of third-party certification, sold for figures that would make your head spin, and when you get into MS65 red or MS66 red territory, when the coin has that original blazing copper luster, when the surfaces are virtually flawless, when the strike is sharp enough to cut glass, you are looking at the absolute top of the population report, what we call top pop status, meaning no finer examples are known to exist in the certified population. Stacksbauer's, another legendary auction house with roots going back to the 19th century, has also offered these coins, and their catalogs describe the 1958D doubled die Obverse as one of the most dramatic and visually striking doubled dies in the entire Lincoln Cent series. The PCGS population report shows how few of these have been certified in high grades, and every time one appears at auction, the bidding room goes absolutely silent before erupting into a frenzy of paddle-waving collectors who know exactly what they are looking at. But here is what I need you to understand about that $14,000 figure. That is not some theoretical catalog value. That is not what a dealer might offer you if you walk into their shop uninformed. That is a real hammer price, a real transaction between a knowledgeable seller and an educated buyer, and the only reason that price is possible is because the coin was properly identified, properly graded, and properly marketed through the right channels. If you find this coin, if you are holding a 1958D double die Obverse in your hand right now, and you walk into a pawn shop and offer it for $100, they will take it from you in a heartbeat. They will hand you a crisp $100 bill, and you will walk out feeling like you got a great deal while they are already on the phone to their numismatic contact. Do not sell it to the first pawn shop. Do not list it on eBay for $100. You will be robbed. You will be giving away a $14,000 asset for pennies on the dollar, and the tragedy is that you will never even know what you lost. Now let me tell you about a man named Robert, because Robert's story is your story, and Robert's discovery is the discovery that is waiting for you. Robert was a retired machinist from Ohio, a guy who had collected coins casually as a kid, who had a cigar box of wheat pennies in his closet that he had not looked at in 40 years. His wife had been nagging him to clean out the closet, to get rid of the junk, to make space for her craft supplies, and one rainy Saturday afternoon, Robert pulled down that cigar box and started sorting through the pennies one by one. Most of them were common dates, worn smooth by decades of circulation, worth maybe 2 or 3 cents each for their copper content. But then he picked up a 1958D, and something about the date caught his eye. It looked fuzzy, almost blurry, like he was seeing double. He remembered watching a YouTube video, maybe one like this one, that had talked about double dies, and he dug out an old magnifying glass from his workbench. What he saw made his hands shake. The date was clearly doubled. The Liberty was doubled. The In God We Trust looked like it had been stamped twice. Robert did not clean the coin, he did not rub it with anything, he handled it by the edges only, and he sent it to PCGS for authentication and grading. 6 weeks later, the package arrived. MS64 red. The coin was genuine, the doubling was confirmed as a true double die Obverse, and the grade was high enough to put it in the upper echelon of known examples. Robert consigned it to Heritage Auctions, and when the hammer fell, he was looking at a check for more than he had made in some entire years of his working life. $14,000 from a single penny that had been sitting in a closet for 4 decades. That is a down payment on a house. That is a brand new car. That is financial breathing room from a single piece of change. And here is the thing that should keep you up at night. Robert almost threw that cigar box away. His wife had suggested it. She had said it was just old junk, just worthless pennies, just clutter taking up space. How many people are making that same mistake right now? How many 1958 D double dies are sitting in junk drawers, in estate sale boxes, in the bottom of purses and pockets, waiting for someone with the knowledge to recognize them? Your mission, your assignment, your sacred duty, starts right now. Here is your battle plan, step by step, exactly what you need to do. Step 1. Gather every 1958 D wheat penny you can find. Check your own collection, check your family's collections, check estate sales, check coin rolls from the bank, check anywhere and everywhere that pennies accumulate. Step 2. Examine each coin under magnification. A jeweler's loupe with 10 to 20 power magnification is ideal. A digital microscope is even better. You are looking for doubling in the date, in liberty, and most importantly in God we trust. Step 3. If you see anything suspicious, anything that looks even slightly doubled, do not clean the coin. I cannot stress this enough. Never clean a coin. Cleaning destroys value. It scratches surfaces, it removes original mint luster, and it can turn a $14,000 coin into a $14 coin in seconds. Handle by edges only. Never touch the surface with your fingers. The oils in your skin will leave residue that graders can see and that buyers will penalize. Step 4. Purchase a digital scale accurate to 1/100th of a gram. A normal copper wheat penny should weigh approximately 3.11 grams. If your 1958 D weighs significantly more or less, that could indicate a wrong planchet error or an off-metal strike, which would be another massive value multiplier. Step 5. If you believe you have a genuine double die, submit the coin to PCGS or NGC for professional grading and authentication. Yes, it costs money. Yes, it takes time. But certification multiplies value dramatically. A raw, ungraded 1958 D double die might sell for a few $1,000s to a knowledgeable dealer. The same coin in a PCGS or NGC holder with a confirmed grade can sell for multiples of that amount. The plastic holder is not just protection. It is a guarantee of authenticity, a statement of condition, and a passport to the highest levels of the numismatic market. Step 6. Once certified, consign the coin to heritage auctions or stacksbowers. Do not sell it privately to the first person who makes an offer. The auction houses have the clientele, the marketing, and the expertise to extract every possible dollar from serious collectors who have been waiting years for the right example to come available. And now, as we approach the end of this journey together, I want you to think about something deeper than dollars and cents. I want you to think about what this little copper disc represents. This penny was struck in 1958, in the final year of the wheat pennies run, in a Denver mint that was already preparing for the transition to the Lincoln Memorial design. It passed through the hands of workers who were long gone now, through machines that have been scrapped and replaced, through an America that was on the cusp of enormous social and cultural change. It carries the weight of history, the residue of human hands, the imperfection of a process that was supposed to be mechanical and flawless but was, in the end, deeply human. And in its imperfection, in its doubled image, in its ghostly secondary date, it tells us something profound about value itself. We live in a world that tells us to be perfect, to be flawless, to be uniform, to fit the mold. But the most valuable things, the truly rare things, are the ones that deviate, that surprise us, that carry the mark of an unexpected moment, a human slip, a beautiful mistake. You are like that penny. You have been told you are ordinary, that you are common, that there is nothing special about you. But the truth is, there is hidden value in every single person, there is rarity in every human story, there is worth that the world has not yet recognized. The 1958 D double die Obverse sat in circulation for years, passed from hand to hand, spent on candy and newspapers and bus fare, completely unnoticed, completely undervalued, completely invisible to everyone who touched it. But its value was always there, waiting for someone with the eyes to see it, the patience to examine it, the wisdom to recognize what others had missed. You have that same hidden value. You have that same potential for discovery. And whether or not you ever find a $14,000 penny in your pocket change, the fact that you are here, that you listened, that you learned, that you refused to scroll past, means that you are already one of the rare ones. You are already part of the 1% who knows that extraordinary value hides in ordinary places, that history lives in the palm of your hand, and that the greatest treasures are not the ones we buy, but the ones we discover. Go now. Examine your coins. Examine your life. Look for the doubling, the imperfection, the beautiful mistake that makes something truly priceless. And never, ever, let anyone tell you that you are just a penny. Do not scroll, do not look away, do not touch that screen, because I am about to reveal to you a secret that the coin-collecting elite have been guarding for decades, a truth so shocking that once you hear it, you will never look at a handful of loose change the same way again. What if I told you that in this very moment, somewhere in America, in a shoebox under a bed, in a jar on a kitchen counter, in the pocket of a pair of jeans about to go through the wash, there sits a single penny that is worth $27,000? $27,000 for 1 cent. That is not a number I made up. That is not a fantasy. That is a documented, verified, auction hammer reality, and the coin I am talking about is the 1952 D-wheat penny, specifically the varieties and errors that can transform this common-looking copper disc into a life-altering financial windfall. You were not supposed to know this. The big dealers, the major auction houses, the professional graders, they have built entire careers and fortunes on the fact that ordinary people do not understand what they are holding. But you are different. You stayed. You listened. And now you are about to join the tiny fraction of humanity that possesses this knowledge, this power, this ability to see value where others see only clutter. Let me take you back to 1952. Harry Truman is finishing his term in the White House, Dwight Eisenhower is about to sweep into office on a wave of post-war optimism, and America is in the grip of the Korean War, a conflict that is draining resources, diverting metal supplies, and putting enormous pressure on the nation's mints to produce coinage at unprecedented volumes. The Denver Mint is running 3 shifts around the clock, its presses are screaming, its workers are exhausted, and the quality control that should catch every imperfection is being stretched to the breaking point. It is in this crucible of chaos, in this furnace of fatigue and rushed production, that the 1952 D-wheat penny errors were born. The records from the Denver Mint for 1952 are sparse, almost suspiciously so, as if someone wanted to erase the evidence of what slipped through. But the coins themselves are the evidence, and they tell a story of human fallibility, mechanical stress, and the beautiful accidents that create numismatic legends. The 1952 D-wheat penny that can command $27,000 is not a single error but a constellation of possibilities, a range of varieties that each carry their own drama, their own diagnostic fingerprint, their own path to extraordinary value. Let me walk you through them, step by step, with the forensic precision of a detective examining a crime scene, because that is exactly what we are doing, solving the mystery of the $27,000 penny. First, we must talk about the doubled die Obverse, because this is the heavy hitter, the king of the hill, the variety that has made grown collectors weep with joy when they finally hold one in their hands. On the 1952 D doubled die Obverse, the doubling is most prominent in the date, in the word liberty, and in the motto "In God We Trust." But here is what makes the 1952 D particularly fascinating: the doubling can be subtle, almost ghostly, requiring a trained eye and proper magnification to detect. This is not the dramatic, in-your-face doubling you see on some varieties. This is a whisper, a shadow, a faint echo of the primary design that reveals itself only to those who know exactly where to look. You need to examine your 1952 D under a jeweler's loupe, minimum 10 power, preferably 20 power. Look at the top of the one in the date. Do you see a slight secondary ridge? Look at the crossbar of the 5. Is there a faint doubling visible under raking light? Now move to Liberty. The L should be singular and crisp on a normal coin. On the double die, there may be a slight spread to the west, a thickening of the vertical stroke that suggests 2 impressions rather than 1. The most telling area is In God We Trust, particularly the letters G and O and D, where the doubling can create a subtle but unmistakable shadow effect. But that is just the beginning, because the 1952 D is also famous for repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the Denver D was struck multiple times, creating visible overlapping or doubling of the mint mark itself. Look at the D under magnification. A normal D is clean, sharp, singular. An RPM shows the D with extra material, with a notch or serif where the second or third impression landed slightly off-center. The 1952 D RPM varieties are among the most sought after in the entire Lincoln Cent series, and some of them can add thousands of dollars to the value of an otherwise ordinary coin. But wait, there is more, so much more, because we have not even discussed die cracks, cuds, and BIE errors yet. A die crack occurs when the steel die itself develops a hairline fracture under the immense pressure of striking. That fracture transfers to the coin as a raised line, and on the 1952 D, some of the most dramatic die cracks run from the rim through the wheat stalks on the reverse, creating what collectors call a spiked head effect when the crack runs through Lincoln's portrait on the obverse. A cut is an even more dramatic error, where a piece of the die breaks away entirely, leaving a raised blob of metal on the coin where the design should be. Cuds on the 1952 D, particularly those affecting the date or the mint mark, can transform a 1-cent coin into a 4 or 5-figure treasure. And then there is the BIE error, that delightful die chip that occurs between the B and E of Liberty, creating what appears to be a tiny extra letter I. On the 1952 D, BIE errors range from subtle to dramatic, and the most pronounced examples are highly collectible, adding significant premiums to the base value. Now, here is where your jaw will truly drop, where the numbers become so large they almost lose meaning. Heritage Auctions, the titan of the numismatic world, has sold 1952 D wheat penny varieties for prices that would make a Wall Street trader do a double take. A 1952 D double die obverse in MS65 red, graded and encapsulated by PCGS, with that blazing original copper color that collectors call red as opposed to the duller red-brown or the oxidized brown, can sell for figures approaching and exceeding $27,000. That is not a typo. That is not a dream. That is a down payment on a house. That is a brand new car. That is financial breathing room from a single piece of change. Stacksbauers, with their impeccable reputation and their client list of the world's most serious collectors, has also featured 1952 D varieties in their sales, and their catalogs describe these coins with the reverence usually reserved for ancient Greek staters or 1793 chain cents. The PCGS Population Report, which tracks every coin ever submitted to Professional Coin Grading Service, shows how few 1952 D double die obverse exist in gem grades, and the NGC census, maintained by Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, tells the same story of extreme scarcity at the top end. When a coin achieves top pop status, meaning it is the finest known example in the certified population, the bidding at auction becomes a battle between collectors who have been waiting years, sometimes decades, for the right specimen to appear. And here is what separates the informed from the ignorant, the wealthy from the wannabe: certification. If you find a 1952 D with suspicious doubling, with a possible RPM, with a dramatic die crack or cud, and you try to sell it raw, ungraded, unauthenticated, you are leaving thousands of dollars on the table. Maybe tens of thousands. PCGS and NGC exist for a reason. Their holders are not just plastic cases. They are guarantees of authenticity, statements of condition, and passports to the highest levels of the numismatic market. A raw 1952 D doubled die might sell for a few thousand to a knowledgeable dealer who recognizes what you have. The same coin in a PCGS MS65 red holder can sell for $27,000 or more at heritage auctions or Stacksbauers. The difference is not the coin.
The difference is the knowledge, the authentication, the confidence that the buyer is getting exactly what they are paying for. Let me tell you about Margaret, because Margaret's story is the story that is waiting for you, and if you do not listen to Margaret, you might make the mistake that costs you everything. Margaret was a schoolteacher in Nebraska, a woman who had inherited her father's coin collection, a modest accumulation of wheat pennies that he had saved from circulation over a lifetime of careful examination. When Margaret's father passed, she put the collection in a closet and forgot about it for years. Then, in the spring of 2019, she decided to sort through the pennies, partly for nostalgia, partly because she had heard that some old coins were worth money.
She had no jeweler's loupe, no digital scale, no numismatic training whatsoever.
But she had something better. She had watched a video, maybe one like this one, that had told her what to look for.
She picked up a 1952D, held it under a desk lamp, and squinted at the date.
It looked strange, almost doubled, but she could not be sure. She took it to a local coin shop, and the dealer offered her $200 on the spot.
$200 for a penny. Margaret almost took it.
$200 would buy groceries, would pay a utility bill, would ease a tight budget.
But something stopped her.
Something in the back of her mind, some voice that said, "Wait.
Learn more.
Do not sell yourself short." She went home, ordered a jeweler's loupe online for $15, and examined the coin properly. The doubling was there, subtle but undeniable. She sent the coin to PCGS. The wait was agonizing, 6 weeks of checking the mailbox every day. When the package finally came, she opened it with trembling hands.
MS-64 red. Doubled die Obverse. Confirmed. Margaret did not sell to the first bidder. She did not list it on eBay for a quick sale.
She consigned it to Heritage Auctions, and when the hammer fell, she was looking at a check for $27,000. $27,000 that had been sitting in a closet for years. $27,000 from a single penny that a dealer had tried to buy for $200. Do not sell it to the first pawn shop.
Do not list it on eBay for $100. You will be robbed.
You will be giving away a fortune for pocket change, and the tragedy is that you will walk away thinking you got a good deal.
Your mission starts now. Your assignment is clear.
Your sacred duty is to examine every 1952 wheat penny you can lay your hands on.
Here is your battle plan.
Step 1. Inventory your collection, your family's collections, every jar, every box, every roll of pennies you can access.
Step 2. Acquire the right tools. A jeweler's loupe with 10 to 20 power magnification is essential. A digital scale accurate to 1/100th of a gram will help you detect wrong planchet errors and off-metal strikes.
A good light source, preferably a daylight-balanced LED, will reveal details that overhead room lighting hides.
Step 3. Examine each 1952D systematically. Check the date for doubling. Check Liberty for spread or thickening. Check In God We Trust for shadow images. Check the mint mark for RPMs. Check the reverse wheat stalks for die cracks. Check the rim for cuds. Check between the B and E of Liberty for BIE errors. Step 4. If you find something, do not clean it. I repeat, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin is like painting over a Rembrandt. It destroys originality, it scratches surfaces, it removes the very patina and luster that graders look for. Handle by edges only.
Never touch the obverse or reverse surfaces with your bare fingers. The oils in your skin will leave marks that can be detected under grading lights and will cost you grade points that translate directly into lost dollars.
Step 5. Submit any suspect coins to PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading. Yes, there is a fee. Yes, there is a wait.
But certification is the difference between selling a coin for hundreds and selling it for thousands or tens of thousands. The plastic holder is your insurance policy, your guarantee of authenticity, your ticket to the major auction houses where serious money changes hands. Step 6. Once certified, consign to heritage auctions or Stacksbauers. These houses have the clientele, the marketing reach, and the expertise to extract maximum value from your find. Do not settle for a quick private sale. Do not let a dealer flip your coin for a massive profit while you walk away with crumbs. And now, as we stand at the end of this revelation, I want you to think about something larger than money, something deeper than auction prices and population reports.
I want you to think about time.
This penny was struck in 1952, in a Denver mint where workers were laboring under the pressure of war production, where machinery was running at capacity, where human hands and mechanical forces combined to create something that was supposed to be perfect but was, instead, beautifully flawed. It has traveled through 70 years of American history. It has passed through the hands of children buying candy, of adults paying bus fare, of collectors sorting through rolls, of heirs inheriting shoeboxes. It has survived wars, recessions, cultural revolutions, and the transition from a coin-based economy to a digital one. And in all that time, its true value was hidden, invisible to everyone who touched it, waiting for someone with the patience to look, the knowledge to see, and the wisdom to recognize what others had missed. You are that person. Or you could be. You have the knowledge now. You have the tools. You have the mission. And whether you find a $27,000 penny tomorrow or never, the fact that you are looking, that you are paying attention, that you refuse to accept the world's valuation of ordinary things, makes you rare. It makes you valuable. It makes you someone who understands that the greatest treasures are not the ones advertised on billboards or sold in malls, but the ones hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes, the right moment, the right person to finally see them for what they are.
Go now. Look at your pennies. Look at your life.
Recognize the value that others overlook. And never forget that the most extraordinary things often come in the most ordinary packages. Listen to me very carefully, do not look away, do not touch that screen, because what I am about to share with you in the next few minutes is not just information, it is a revelation, a secret so powerful that it has the potential to transform your entire understanding of value, of history, and of the ordinary objects that surround you every single day. What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, there is a penny in circulation, or in a drawer, or in a forgotten jar in someone's basement, that is worth $46,000? $46,000 for a single 1-cent piece. That is not a misprint. That is not a typo. That is not some inflated internet fantasy or collector's daydream. That is a real, documented, hammer-down auction price for a specific 1945 wheat penny, and I am going to tell you exactly what makes that coin worth more than many Americans make in a year, exactly how to identify it, exactly where to look for it, and exactly what to do with it if you were lucky enough, blessed enough, chosen enough to find one. The mainstream dealers do not want you to know this. The big auction houses would prefer that you remain ignorant, that you sell your treasures for pennies, that you never learn the language of numismatics that would empower you to demand what your coins are truly worth. But you are different. You stayed. You listened. And now you are about to receive knowledge that 99% of the population will never possess, knowledge that can turn a handful of loose change into a life-changing windfall. Let me transport you back to 1945. Franklin Delano Roosevelt has just passed away in April. Harry Truman has assumed the presidency in the shadow of the greatest war in human history, and the United States is pouring every ounce of its industrial might into the final push to defeat Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. The home front is a landscape of rationing, of victory gardens, of war bond drives, of women working in factories while men fight overseas. The Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint are all running at absolute maximum capacity, producing coinage not just for domestic circulation but for military use, for occupied territories, for the complex logistical needs of a nation at total war.
The pressure on the mints is unimaginable. The workforce is stretched thin, with experienced workers drafted into military service and replaced by trainees who are learning on the job. The machinery is running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with minimal maintenance and maximum output. The quality control that should catch every error, every double die, every die crack, every repunched mint mark, is operating under wartime urgency where speed trumps perfection. It is in this crucible, in this furnace of national emergency and industrial chaos, that the legendary 1945 wheat penny errors were born. The official mint records from 1945 are incomplete, damaged, or deliberately sparse, and numismatic researchers have spent decades piecing together the story of what happened, of what slipped through, of what the mints produced that they never intended to produce. But the coins tell the truth, and the truth is extraordinary. The 1945 wheat penny that can command $46,000 is a doubled die obverse of such dramatic intensity that it ranks among the most visually striking errors in the entire Lincoln Cent series. Let me break this down for you with the forensic precision that this coin deserves, because understanding the diagnostics is the difference between finding a fortune and walking right past it. The 1945 doubled die obverse shows its doubling most prominently in the date itself, with the 1, the 9, the 4, and the 5 all displaying clear, unmistakable secondary images. But it is in the motto "In God We Trust" where the doubling reaches its most dramatic expression. The letters I and N show distinct separation. The G and O and D appear almost doubled in thickness, as if the die was struck twice with a slight rotational shift that created a shadow image behind the primary design. The word liberty also shows significant doubling, particularly in the letters L and I and B, where the vertical strokes appear thickened or spread to the west. This is not machine doubling, this is not the minor shelf doubling that occurs when a coin bounces slightly in the press. This is true hub doubling, created during the die manufacturing process itself, and every single coin struck from that defective die carries the same dramatic error. But the 1945 wheat penny story does not end with doubled dies, because this year also produced some of the most spectacular repunched mint marks in the entire series. The 1945 D from Denver and the 1945 S from San Francisco both show dramatic RPM varieties, where the mint mark was punched into the die multiple times at slightly different angles, creating visible overlapping, notching, or doubling of the D or S. Under magnification, a normal mint mark is crisp and singular. An RPM shows extra serifs, extra curves, extra metal where the second or third punch landed. Some of the 1945 RPMs are so dramatic that they are visible to the naked eye, while others require careful examination under a jeweler's loupe. And then there are the die cracks, the cuds, the BIE errors, the grease-filled dies, the wrong planchet strikes, each one a separate path to value, each one a separate story of human fallibility and mechanical imperfection. A die crack on a 1945 wheat penny might run from the rim through Lincoln's hair, creating what collectors call a spiked head variety. A cud might obliterate part of the date or the mint mark, leaving a raised blob of metal where the design should be. A BIE error might create a tiny extra letter between the B and E of Liberty, a die chip that mimics a letter and delights collectors who hunt for these anomalies. A grease-filled die might leave weak or missing details, particularly in the wheat stalks on the reverse, where accumulated grease in the die's recesses prevents the full design from striking up. And then there is the Holy Grail, the absolute king, the variety that makes collectors' hearts race and their palms sweat, the wrong planchet and off-metal strikes. During World War II, the mints experimented with various metal compositions due to copper shortages, and while the 1943 steel cent is the most famous result of these experiments, there were other anomalies, other mistakes, other coins struck on planchets intended for different denominations or different years. A 1945 wheat penny struck on a foreign planchet, or on a planchet intended for a different coin, or in a different metal composition, can be worth staggering sums, and the diagnostic is simple: weight. A normal 1945 wheat penny should weigh approximately 3.11 grams.
If your 1945 weighs significantly more or less, if it sounds different when dropped on a hard surface, if its color or magnetic properties seem unusual, you may have an off-metal strike that could be worth many times the already extraordinary value of a standard double die. Now let me tell you about the auction records, because this is where the numbers become so large they almost lose their ability to shock. Heritage Auctions, the undisputed giant of the numismatic auction world, has sold 1945 wheat penny varieties for prices that would make a luxury car dealer blush. A 1945 double die Obverse in MS66 red, graded by PCGS with that perfect blazing copper color, that pristine surface, that razor-sharp strike, can sell for $46,000 or more.
That is not a typo. That is not a theoretical value.
That is a real hammer price, a real transaction between a knowledgeable consignor and an educated buyer, facilitated by the marketing power and client base of the world's largest numismatic auction house. Stacksbauer's, with their storied history dating back to the 19th century, has also featured 1,945 varieties in their prestigious sales, and their catalogs describe these coins with language usually reserved for 1804 silver dollars or 1913 Liberty nickels. The PCGS population report shows the extreme scarcity of high-grade 1945 double dies, and the NGC census confirms that only a handful of examples exist in the gem grades that command these astronomical prices. When a 1945 double die Obverse in MS66 red appears at auction, it achieves top pop status, meaning no finer example has been certified by PCGS or NGC, and the bidding becomes a war between registry set collectors who have been waiting years for the opportunity to add this coin to their competitive collections. And here is what you must understand about that $46,000 figure: it is only possible because the coin was properly identified, properly graded, and properly sold through the right channels. If you find a 1945 double die Obverse in your collection, and you walk into a pawn shop and offer it for sale, they might give you $100, maybe $200 if you are lucky, and you will walk out thinking you got a great deal while they are already planning their trip to the next major coin show. Do not sell it to the first pawn shop.
Do not list it on eBay for $100. You will be robbed. You will be giving away a $46,000 asset for less than the price of a nice dinner, and the tragedy is that you will never even know what you lost. Let me tell you about James, because James's story is the story that should haunt you, and it is the story that should motivate you to examine every single 1945 wheat penny you can find. James was a veteran from Texas, a man who had served in the Pacific during World War II and who had brought home a small collection of coins that he had accumulated during his service. He had wheat pennies from every year of the war, carefully saved in an old tobacco tin that he kept in his dresser drawer. James passed away in 2018, and his grandson, Michael, inherited the collection. Michael knew nothing about coins. He had never collected, never studied, never cared about numismatics. But he had watched some YouTube videos, maybe videos like this one, and he had a vague sense that old coins might be worth something. Michael took the tobacco tin to a local coin dealer, a man with a shop downtown who had been in business for 30 years. The dealer sorted through the pennies quickly, pulling out a few key dates, offering Michael $300 for the lot. $300 for his grandfather's wartime collection. Michael almost took it. $300 would buy a new phone, would pay for a weekend trip, would ease a tight budget. But something stopped him. Maybe it was his grandfather's memory. Maybe it was a gut instinct. Maybe it was the voice of a YouTube narrator saying, "Do not sell to the first dealer. Get a second opinion. Educate yourself." Michael went home, ordered a jeweler's loupe for $12, and started examining the pennies one by one. When he got to the 1945, he noticed something strange about the date. It looked doubled, almost blurry, like his eyes were playing tricks on him. He held it under a bright light, adjusted the loupe, and felt his heart stop. The doubling was unmistakable. The date was clearly doubled. The In God We Trust showed dramatic spread.
The Liberty was thick and shadowed.
Michael did not clean the coin.
He handled it by the edges only.
He sent it to PCGS for authentication and grading.
The wait was torture, 6 weeks of checking the mailbox, of dreaming and doubting and hoping. When the package arrived, Michael opened it with shaking hands.
MS-65 read. Double die Obverse. Confirmed. Michael did not sell to a dealer.
He did not list it online for a quick sale. He consigned it to Heritage Auctions, and when the hammer fell, the price was $46,000. $46,000 from a single penny that his grandfather had carried through the war, that had sat in a tobacco tin for 70 years, that a dealer had tried to buy for pocket change. That is a down payment on a house.
That is a brand new car.
That is financial breathing room from a single piece of change. And here is what should keep you awake at night. Michael almost sold that coin for $300. His grandfather's legacy, his family's hidden treasure, was $300 away from being lost forever.
How many other grandchildren are making that same mistake right now?
How many 1945 doubled dies are sitting in estate sales, in junk drawers, in the bottom of purses and pockets, waiting for someone with the knowledge to recognize them? Your mission, your assignment, your sacred duty, starts right now. Here is your battle plan, step by step, exactly what you need to do to turn this knowledge into action. Step 1. Gather every 1945 wheat penny you can find.
Check your own collection. Check your family's collections. Check estate sales, garage sales, flea markets, coin rolls from the bank, anywhere and everywhere that pennies accumulate.
The 1945 is not a rare date in circulated condition, which means millions of them were saved in collections, which means your chances of finding one are better than you think.
Step 2. Examine each coin under magnification.
A jeweler's loupe with 10 to 20 power magnification is the minimum tool you need. A digital microscope that connects to your phone or computer is even better, because it allows you to see details at high magnification and even capture images for comparison and research. Step 3. Check the date first.
On a normal 1945, the numbers are crisp and singular.
On the doubled die, you will see clear secondary images, particularly in the 1 and the 9 and the 5. Check Liberty next, looking for thickening or spread in the letters, particularly the L and the I and the B. Check In God We Trust with extreme care, because this is where the 1945 doubled die shows its most dramatic expression.
The letters should appear to have a shadow image behind them, a faint but unmistakable duplicate that speaks to the die's imperfection.
Step 4. Check the mint mark. If your 1945 has a D or an S mint mark, examine it carefully for repunching. Look for extra serifs, extra curves, notching, or doubling of the mint mark itself. RPMs on the 1945 can add thousands of dollars to the value of an already valuable coin. Step 5. Check for die cracks, cuts, and BIE errors. Run your loupe over every detail of the obverse and reverse. Look for raised lines that should not be there, missing details that should be present, extra blobs of metal where the die has failed. Step 6. Weigh your coin. A digital scale accurate to 1/100th of a gram is essential. A normal 1945 should weigh approximately 3.11 grams. Significant deviations could indicate a wrong planchet or off metal strike, which would be another massive value multiplier. Step 7. If you find anything suspicious, anything that looks even slightly doubled or wrong or unusual, do not clean the coin. I cannot stress this enough. Cleaning destroys value. It scratches surfaces, it removes original mint luster, it destroys the very originality that graders look for and that collectors pay premiums to acquire. Handle by edges only. Never touch the obverse or reverse surfaces with your bare fingers. The oils in your skin will leave residue that can be detected under grading lights and will cost you grade points that translate directly into lost dollars.
Step 8. Submit any suspect coins to PCGS or NGC for professional grading and authentication. Yes, there is a fee. Yes, there is a wait. But certification is the difference between selling a coin for hundreds and selling it for tens of thousands. The plastic holder is your guarantee of authenticity, your statement of condition, your passport to the major auction houses where serious money changes hands. Step 9. Once certified, consign your coin to heritage auctions or Stacksbauers. These houses have the marketing reach, the client base, and the expertise to extract maximum value from your find. Do not settle for a quick private sale. Do not let a dealer flip your coin for a massive profit while you walk away with crumbs. And now, as we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to think about something that transcends money, that transcends auction prices and population reports and registry sets. I want you to think about what this little copper disc represents. This penny was struck in 1945, in the final year of the most devastating war in human history, in a nation that was exhausted but triumphant, in a mint that was running on adrenaline and patriotism and the sheer will to produce coinage for a country that needed it. It passed through the hands of workers who may have lost sons or brothers or husbands in the war. It traveled through a post-war America that was about to explode into the greatest economic boom in history. It survived the Cold War, the space race, the civil rights movement, the digital revolution, and the transition to a cashless society. And in all that time, its true value was hidden, invisible to everyone who touched it, waiting for someone with the patience to look, the knowledge to see, and the wisdom to recognize what others had missed. You are that person. Or you could be. You have the knowledge now. You have the tools. You have the mission. And whether you find a $46,000 penny tomorrow or never, the fact that you are looking, that you are paying attention, that you refuse to accept the world's valuation of ordinary things, makes you rare. It makes you valuable. It makes you someone who understands that the greatest treasures are not the ones advertised on billboards or sold in malls, but the ones hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes, the right moment, the right person to finally see them for what they are. This coin, this 1945 wheat penny, is more than copper and zinc. It is a piece of history, a witness to war and peace, a survivor of decades of neglect and indifference, a reminder that value is not always visible, that worth is not always obvious, and that the most extraordinary things often come in the most ordinary packages. Just like you. Just like me. Just like every person who has ever felt overlooked, undervalued, invisible, waiting for someone to finally see what has been there all along. Go now. Examine your coins. Examine your life. Look for the doubling, the imperfection, the beautiful mistake that makes something truly priceless. And never, ever, let anyone tell you that you are just a penny.